Welcome to another RTI Music short tutorial. This lesson will explain how to use the volume options available when linking or synchronizing RTI Music players. Before we begin, ensure the RTI Music configuration system core, driver, and latest version of Integration Designer are up to date. Let's begin. Let's start by launching the RTI Music configuration utility. Select Players. In the Players menu, you'll see a setting called Sync Settings. Select the tab. Here are 4 different volume methods used when linking players. There is Independent, Absolute, Delta Absolute, and Delta Relative. I'll explain each one and show you how it impacts an RTI Music player within a virtual panel. Let's start with the Independent Sync setting. Select Apply to save your setting. Now let's call up our virtual panel. Let's select RTI Music and let's sync our players. Once we sync our players, let's go to the player volume settings. Here you'll see the player volume for all 3 players in our project. Now that the independent option has been selected, synchronized players have independent volume control. This is the default option. As I select each volume level, each streamer or player will have its own independent volume. Now let's go back to the RTI Music configuration utility, select Players, then select Sync Settings. Let's select Absolute from the list of sync settings. The Absolute setting will synchronize players all with the same absolute volume. Let's remember to click Apply, then go back to our virtual panel. Now, once we start moving the volume for our players, they will move in unison. Each player will sync to the absolute value of the master player. Let's go back to our music settings. Select Players, select Sync Settings. To demonstrate the next 2, let's first set this to Independent. And then let's go and change these to different volume levels so you can get a clear idea of how this works. Now let's go back to the configuration utility, select the players, then sync settings, and now let's select the Delta Absolute value. Notice that this description says synchronized players volume adjusts up and down by the same amount. Let's see how that works in action. Click Apply, then we'll go to our virtual panel. Now, as you raise each player, the other players will move the same percentage as the other players. That way, you can raise the volume of the players the same value percentage, but they can all have independent volume control. Let's go back to our music configuration, select Players and Sync Settings, and look at the last setting called Delta Relative. Delta Relative description says that synchronized player volume adjusts up and down relative to the master player. Let's select Apply, and let's see how this works. As I raise the master player, each value will move up according to the master player value. If you hit a maximum volume percentage, this will stop ramping. If I take this down a percentage, everything will move as the master player, since I synced player 2 and 3 to player 1. That's how to use the new volume settings available in RTI Music. Be sure to select Apply when selecting each of these settings and you will be able to use the volume you choose. Thanks for watching.